Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show that gets you smart fast. We take a dense pile of information today, it's a whole book, and really pull out the key insights. It's a shortcut to feeling totally clued in.
Right.
And this deep dive, it's specifically for you, our listeners, curious learners, who want to get the core of a topic, thoroughly, but without getting totally bogged down.
Exactly. And today, we are getting stuck into a really foundational text for anyone building tech products. Marty Cagan's Inspired. How to create tech products customers love.
Ah, yes, heard a lot about this one.
Yeah, it's influential. So think of this as your comprehensive audio guide to the book. Our mission is to really explain the key concepts clearly, the theories behind them, the frameworks Kagan suggests, and all those important ideas he lays out.
And Inspired isn't just like a list of tips, is it? It goes deeper.
Oh, much deeper. It's a real exploration of the strategic and tactical thinking you need to consistently build products that don't just work, but that users actually, well, love.
That resonance factor.
Exactly. And it's earned its reputation. You've got endorsements from big names. Marty Abbott, former CTO at eBay, Shripriya Mahesh at Omidyar Network. People who know their stuff.
So serious industry weight behind it. What can listeners expect us to cover then?
But we're going to unpack the central arguments, section by section. We'll look at the examples Kagan uses. Those are really helpful, and pinpoint the big conclusions he draws.
Okay.
And importantly, we'll explore how these ideas actually get put into practice. What's the potential impact? The goal is a really solid, clear understanding of Kagan's core principles.
Great. Let's dive in then. What's the absolute heart of it, that central belief driving Inspired?
At its core, really Inspired works on this belief that behind every truly great product, there's someone, or usually actually a dedicated team, working passionately, behind the scenes.
Right, not just ticking boxes.
Not at all. It's that deep ownership, that commitment to making something exceptional. Kagan really emphasizes that. It's not just about enthusiasm. It's about shared understanding and deep investment in the problem. That's what leads to more creative solutions.
Okay, so that passion and commitment. And he's specifically focused on tech products.
Precisely. He zeroes in on the unique challenges and opportunities in building tech-powered products, services, experiences.
So not just websites, but broader things too.
Yeah. Could be purely digital, like an app, or a mix of online and offline, like ride sharing or online lending. His point is that tech is reshaping almost every industry now. It's critical.
Which kind of leads into his critique of older methods, doesn't it? What's wrong with the traditional way?
Well, he highlights some big flaws in those, old project-centric models, the classic sequential handoff.
The waterfall approach.
Exactly. Product manager writes specs, throws it over the wall to design, they throw it to engineering. It's siloed. And that often means the final product doesn't really hit the mark for users or the business.
Because no one's talking properly.
Pretty much. There isn't enough ongoing collaboration, no shared understanding built up through the process. And he also says just using Agile for the delivery part, the coding misses, like half the potential value.
Yeah. So even Lean and Agile, which are so popular, aren't the complete answer according to Kagan?
He acknowledges their value, definitely. But he's clear they aren't silver bullets. You have to apply them intelligently, within the right structure.
So how can they go wrong?
Well, he gives examples, like teams spending ages on an MVP, a minimum viable product, without really knowing what they need to learn from it, or maybe it won't even lead anywhere useful.
Right, building something minimal but not necessarily valuable.
Exactly. Or, on the flip side, maybe over-testing everything, getting stuck in analysis paralysis, and just slowing everything down.
Okay, so if those are the whole picture, what's Kagan's alternative? What's the core structure he promotes?
It all comes back to the empowered product team. That's the bedrock.
Okay, what does that look like?
It's a cross-functional group. You've got your product manager, a product designer, and engineers, usually between 2 and, say, 12 engineers.
All working together.
Yes, collaboratively, holistically. Right from the start discovery all the way through to delivery and iteration. He uses that quote from John Doerr. You want a team of missionaries, not mercenaries.
Missionaries versus mercenaries. I like that. What's the difference?
Missionaries are invested in the vision, driven to solve the customer's problem. Mercenaries just build what they're told. That shared ownership, that deep understanding, that's where the better solutions come from. It's often missing when teams just execute orders.
And these teams stick together. They're not just assembled for one project.
Ideally, yes. Kagan really pushes for dedicated teams that stay with the product long term. They iterate, they improve until it's really successful for users and the business.
Makes sense. Bill's expertise.
Right. And he also strongly advocates for co-location, having the team physically together.
Hmm. Tricky in today's world, maybe.
It can be, but he argues the best companies still see huge value in it. Even with remote tools, that close proximity, the informal chats, even grabbing lunch together,
Mm-hmm.
it builds tighter collaboration and communication.
Okay, I get that. Now, at the heart of this team is the product manager. What does Kagan say about their role? It sounds crucial.
Oh, it's pivotal and incredibly demanding. Ultimately, the PM is accountable for the product success.
That's a lot of pressure. What do they need to know?
A lot. Deep customer empathy is key. Understanding their needs, their pain points, then strong analytical skills, being able to work with data, and a really good grasp of the market, the industry, competitors, trends like AI.
Like all of it.
Wow, okay, so it's broad. And what about the product owner role in Agile? Is that the same thing?
Kagan argues strongly that yes, in product companies, the product manager should also be the product owner.
Why is that? Some companies split them. He believes splitting them leads to inefficiencies, a diluted vision. It actually hinders innovation and delivering value. The strategic view of the PM is essential for making good product owner decisions day to day.
Interesting take. So, what kind of person makes a good PM? Do you need a computer science degree?
Well, he strongly recommends understanding technology,
Yeah.
ideally having some programming experience. Doesn't have to be like web stuff, could be any language.
Yes.
But he puts more emphasis on non-technical skills, actually. Being smart, creative, a good problem solver. Persistence is huge. It's less about the specific degree.
So traits rather than qualifications.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
He does suggest two useful academic areas, though. Intro to programming and business accounting or finance, just to get that foundational understanding of tech and business drivers.
Right. Now, the PM doesn't work alone. You mentioned the team. Let's talk relationships. Product designer, how important is that collaboration?
Absolutely critical. Kagan stresses early, deep collaboration. Design isn't a support service you call in later. They're a first-class member of the team from day one.
So involved right from the start.
Ideally, yes. Sitting near the PM, involved in every idea's inception, talking to users and customers directly. He points out that today, design often informs functionality just as much as tech constraints or business needs do.
Makes sense. What about the engineers? That relationship must be vital in an empowered team.
Oh, arguably the most critical relationship for a PM, Kagan says. It has to be built on genuine mutual respect.
What does that look like in practice?
The PM needs to come prepared, understanding the customer pain, the data, the business constraints, but they also need to be open-minded. Really listen to the engineers' perspectives, value their technical input.
So not just dictating solutions.
Definitely not. Involving engineers early in discovery, figuring out what to build, leads to better, more feasible solutions. And it boosts morale massively. They feel like missionaries contributing expertise, not just mercenaries coding tasks.
And the tech lead plays a role there, too.
Yes, the tech lead is crucial in discovery, bringing that senior technical insight.
Okay. What about product marketing managers? Where do they fit?
They're essential members of the product team, too. They represent the market, thinking about positioning, messaging, the go-to-market plans.
So outward facing.
Largely, yes. Deeply connected with sales, understanding the competition. They help answer fundamental questions. Is there a real market? Can we differentiate? Can we acquire customers cost effectively? Do we have the right channels? All that is crucial for success.
And data keeps coming up. The role of data analysts.
Crucial partners, helping define metrics, ensure privacy, run analysis, plan experiments, interpret results. Modern product work is so data-informed.
Though ideally, they're part of the team, too.
Yeah, in larger companies, having a dedicated analyst embedded with the product team, working closely with the PM and designer, is often really beneficial. If not, the PM ends up having to do a lot of that data work themselves, which takes time.
Okay. Now, as companies grow, things change. Kagan talks about people at scale. How do these roles evolve?
Yeah, this is important, especially in the second edition. He highlights that even as you scale, you still need highly effective individual contributors. The principal product manager role is a path for those who want deep impact without managing people directly.
But management tracks exist, too.
Of course, the director of product management is typical, focusing on coaching PMs, developing the team, ensuring strategic alignment across products.
And right at the top, the VP of product.
Key role, 4 main areas: team development, recruiting, coaching PMs and designers, defining and evangelizing the product vision and strategy, ensuring solid execution, championing modern discovery and planning, and fostering a strong product culture.
Is the VP always the main visionary?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Kagan points out sometimes the CEO drives the product vision and the VP needs to be brilliant at execution. Other times the CEO isn't product focused and the VP needs to be that visionary leader. Depends on the context.
Got it. And on the tech side, the CTO or VP engineering?
Their world covers architecture, engineering quality, site operations, security, release management, and crucially, tackling technical debt proactively.
Keeping the foundation strong.
Exactly. They ensure the org can actually build and ship high-quality stuff reliably and quickly. And they bring that vital tech perspective to strategic discussions.
Kagan also mentions a role delivery manager. Less common, maybe? What do they do?
You see them more in growth stage or enterprise companies. Basically, PMs can get bogged down in project management stuff, tracking dependencies, chasing people.
Taking them away from discovery.
Precisely. So the delivery manager is a specialist project manager whose job is to remove those obstacles for the team, coordinating with other teams, resolving issues, clearing roadblocks. They often act as scrum masters too, helping streamline the process to get stuff live faster.
Interesting. Okay, let's shift to something often contentious. Product roadmaps. Kagan isn't a huge fan of the traditional kind, is he?
No, he sees real problems with them. The typical list of features with dates.
Yeah. What's the issue? They seem standard.
The moment they're shared, he argues, people treat them as commitments, no matter the caveats, which is a huge problem when those initial ideas don't pan out or hit roadblocks.
Because ideas often change or fail in discovery.
Exactly. And even good ideas often need several iterations to deliver real value, which a static feature list doesn't reflect. It focuses on output features shipped, not outcome business results.
So if that kind of roadmap is flawed, what's the alternative Kagan suggests?
He pushes for a move towards business objective-based systems. OKR's objectives and key results are a prime example.
Ah, OKRs. Heard a lot about those too. How do they work here?
Leadership sets the high-level goals, the objectives. Then, the empowered teams figure out the best way to hit those objectives, defining measurable key results to track progress toward the outcome.
But what about when you do need a date? For a launch or a partner commitment?
That's where he introduces high-integrity commitments. These are specific date-based deliverables the team is highly confident they can hit, and that will deliver significant value. But they're the exception, not the rule, like in old roadmaps.
So focus on the why, the objective, not just the what the feature list.
That's the essence of it, yes. OKRs give that focus on results. An objective might be improve user engagement, and key results could be things like increase daily active users by 15% or reduce churn by 5%. Measurable impact.
This focus on objectives links clearly to needing a strong sense of direction, doesn't it? Product vision, product strategy. How does Kagan define those?
Super important. The product vision describes the future you're trying to create. Thinking, say, 2 to 5 years out, maybe longer for hardware.
Different from a company mission.
Yeah, more specific to the product's impact. It should be focused, inspiring, aware of trends, and borrowing from Bezos, stubborn on vision, flexible on details.
Okay, that's the vision. What about strategy?
Strategy is how you'll realize that vision. Often involves focusing intensely on one target market initially, sequencing things carefully.
Key principles for strategy.
Focus, again, obsess about customer success. Differentiate clearly, leverage trends, and adapt as the market changes, skate to where the puck is heading. He also mentions product principles, core values, guiding decisions.
And these big ideas, vision, strategy, get translated into action through things like OKRs.
Exactly. OKRs provide that framework for empowering teams and measuring progress based on results, not just activity. Kagan stresses that clear company-level objectives are vital context for team OKRs.
Does this apply to internal teams too, like platform teams?
Yes, he discusses how it works for platform or shared services teams too, and highlights that leadership coordination is key to manage dependencies and alignment across everyone.
Okay, now having a great vision and strategy is one thing, but you need to get people on board. Kagan talks about product evangelism. What's that about?
It's about the PM effectively selling the dream, communicating the value and potential of the product passionately and credibly to the team, stakeholders, execs, everyone.
How do you do that effectively?
He suggests practical things. Use prototypes, make ideas tangible, share customer pain, build empathy, share the vision constantly, share learnings, transparency builds trust, share credit, it's a team effort, and give great demos, show, don't just tell.
So it's about communication and inspiration.
Absolutely. He gives this great example of Alex Presland at the BBC, an individual contributor who drove huge change just through her vision and evangelism skills.
Wow, okay. Sounds great on paper. But how does a team figure out what to build? This brings us to discovery, right? Why is it so central for Kagan?
Hugely central.
Yeah.
He's adamant that the majority of a PM's time should be spent on discovery.
More time on discovery than delivery.
Yes, discovery is about deeply understanding customer needs and validating potential solutions before you commit to building them at scale. It's highly collaborative, PM, designer, engineers, stakeholders all involved.
So answering engineer questions during the build is less time-consuming.
Generally, yes. That delivery support is crucial, but the upfront discovery work, the figuring out what and why, should take more focus, according to Kagan.
What are the guiding principles for good discovery?
He lays out a few key ones. First, functionality, design, tech. They're all intertwined. Explore them together from the start.
Yes.
Second, accept that many ideas just won't work. You need to experiment, iterate, be willing to change course based on evidence.
Fail fast, learn fast.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Third, and this is critical, validate with real users before building. Use quick, cheap methods. Fourth, involve engineers early for feasibility checks and to spot technical opportunities.
And finally,
Always check business viability during discovery, not just after building. Does it work for the business overall?
makes sense. Kagan then talks about specific discovery framing techniques. What are those for?
There's structured ways to get everyone aligned and spot risks early, like the opportunity assessment, good for general feature work, focuses on the objective, problem, user, success metrics.
What about bigger things?
For bigger projects, he suggests the customer letter technique. Write a letter from a happy customer describing the benefits, builds empathy, clarifies value.
And for brand new products?
The startup canvas technique, a lightweight way to map out and address early risks. There's also the story map technique for visualizing the user journey, finding opportunities.
You mentioned reference customers earlier.
Yes, the customer discovery program technique. It's powerful. You develop the product and a set of real paying reference customers in parallel for your target market.
Why are they so valuable?
Huge validation, real feedback, real advocates. He tells a great story about Martina Lochenko saving Word 6.0 for Mac by focusing relentlessly on the customer experience via this kind of program. It's how you find product market fit, happier customers, less churn, faster sales, rapid growth.
Okay, so framing helps define the space. How do you generate ideas within that frame? Discovery ideation techniques.
Right. The most basic but vital is customer interviews. Just talking to users, understanding their needs, pains.
Simple but effective. What else?
The concierge test. Manually provide the service first to learn before automating. Also, look for customer misbehavior. How are people using your product in unexpected ways? Kagan uses an early eBay example. It can reveal huge opportunities.
Like unintended uses showing a need.
Exactly. And finally, hack days. Give the team, especially engineers, dedicated time to explore innovative ideas, often around a theme.
Okay, you've got ideas, now you need to test them quickly. Discovery prototyping techniques.
Yes. There's a range of user prototypes, from lo-fi sketches or wireframes focusing on flow, up to high-fidelity interactive mock-ups that look and feel real.
What about using actual data?
That's live data prototypes. Limited functional versions of a feature released to a small group to get real usage data, much quicker than building the whole thing.
Any others?
He mentions hybrid prototypes, like the Wizard of Oz technique, looks real on the front end, but humans are pulling levers behind the scenes. Lets you test complex interactions quickly.
And these prototypes get tested using discovery testing techniques. What are you testing for?
Several things. First, testing usability. Can people actually use it? Find friction points by watching users interact with prototypes, often hi-fi ones. Keep feedback loops fast. You mentioned Starbucks testing, getting quick reactions, not long reports.
Makes sense. What else besides usability?
Testing value. Will customers actually buy it or use it? This breaks down further.
Okay.
You need to demand. Is the problem big enough? Often done via that customer discovery program. Then there's qualitative value testing interviews, observation, understanding the why behind user reactions. Kagan suggests doing 2-3 of these a week with the PM involved.
Quantitative?
Yes, quantitative value testing. Collecting numbers via things like A/B tests or invite-only betas. Analytics and KPIs show what happens, but remember, qualitative tells you why. Both are needed.
Right. What else gets tested?
Testing feasibility. Can we actually build this? Involves engineers assessing tech challenges, effort, explore new tech options here too. And finally, testing business viability. Does it work for marketing, sales, legal, finance, the whole business?
That Netflix example comes to mind again.
Exactly. Their cue, Ratings, recommendations, those tech innovations were key to making their business model viable.
Kagan also introduces the discovery sprint. What's the idea there?
It's a focused, time-boxed week, usually 1 week dedicated just to discovery. Tackling a big problem or risk rapidly through ideation, prototyping, testing with users, engineers, stakeholders. He also notes the rise of discovery coaches who help facilitate these.
Sounds intense but productive. Now, all this involves people outside the core team stakeholders. How does Kagan suggest managing stakeholders?
It's a key PM skill. Understand their concerns, their constraints,
Yeah.
build trust through transparency. Convince them the solutions work for everyone, customers, and the business. The danger is stakeholders feeling ignored or trying to dictate solutions, which kills empowerment.
And all this learning from discovery needs to be shared, right? Communicating learnings.
Absolutely vital. Share insights across teams. Prevents reinventing the wheel, fosters a culture of innovation. He suggests things like weekly all-hands updates from product, sharing what was tested, what was learned, good and bad, and what's next. Builds collective intelligence.
Okay, pulling it all together leads to the right culture. What defines good versus bad product teams in Kagan's view?
He contrasts them on innovation approach, team skills, engineer involvement, speed, how they handle commitments, use of analytics, lots of dimensions.
What kills innovation, according to him?
Lack of customer centricity,
Mm-hmm.
fuzzy strategy, teams not truly empowered, an IT-first mindset instead of product-first, and just no time carved out for innovation.
And what slows teams down? Loss of velocity.
Big ones are technical debt, dragging them down, lack of strong PMs, and slow, infrequent release cycles.
Is it possible to be good at both innovation and execution?
He acknowledges the tension. Mentions Amazon as a company that excels at both, though notes it can be a demanding place to work. He really encourages teams to self-assess honestly on these points. The book wraps up with acknowledgments and a bit about Kagan's own background, HP, Netscape, eBay, Silicon Valley Product Group. Lots of experience feeding into this.
Okay, that was a really comprehensive tour. So, boiling it all down, what's the core message listeners should take from our deep dive into Inspired?
I think the fundamental message is that building great tech products, the ones customers truly love, and that succeed for the business, it requires a pretty fundamental shift.
A shift away from those old models.
Exactly. A shift towards empowered collaborative teams, towards continuous discovery and delivery, towards deep understanding of the customer and the business, and this relentless focus on validating ideas and learning quickly.
So it's a whole system, really. And hopefully this deep dive has given everyone a solid grasp of the key principles and techniques from the book.
That's the goal. And maybe it prompts a thought,
Yeah.
Which of these ideas could actually make the biggest difference in your own work or your team or organization?
Yeah, a good question to ponder. Perhaps digging into a specific chapter or technique from the book could be a next step for some listeners.
Could be really valuable, considering how to apply it in your specific context.
Absolutely. Well, if any follow-up questions pop up, or if you want to explore product management and innovation further, feel free to reach out. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.